Hello and welcome to this short tutorial on web scraping, where we are going to literally scrape some information off the internet, specifically from the BBC's weather website, and then put it into a nice pandas data frame and save it into a CSV or an Excel file for processing later. Okay, so let's dive into today's exercise. So this is the BBC's weather website, and the information that you see here is for the city of Mumbai. And the data that we're interested in this for this particular tutorial is the daily high temperature values, the daily low temperature values, and the daily weather summary for the next 14 days for the city of Mumbai. Okay, so let's look into the piece of code or the notebook that does this for us. So before I begin, let me put this caveat here that web scraping might not be always legal. So it is a good idea to go through the terms and conditions of the website you're planning to scrape before you actually go and scrape to see if it's legal, right? So let's look at the libraries that we are importing for this exercise. There are two libraries that are very important. One is the request library and the other is the beautifulsoup. So what does request do? So, it basically has functionalities that helps you go fetch the HTML code from any website that you're interested in scraping data from, right? So HTML code is what your web browser renders into this beautiful web page, but then what you want for web scraping is the HTML code as is from the web server. So the request library has functions to do that for you. If you pass the URL of the website, it will fetch you the HTML code. And then beautifulsoup helps you go through these HTML code line by line, and then you can fetch whatever information you want and then put it into a different place and then process it, right? So these are the two important libraries. JSON and URL encode, I mean, I've just included that for, for instance, if you see this URL here, this last piece of information, so that is what tells the web server that I'm looking for weather of the Mumbai city. Now, the simplest thing to do is just copy paste this URL and pass it on to the get function of the request library. But then the cooler way to do that is to use BBC's location service API. So just pass the name Mumbai to it, and then it will give you back this stuff here, the last code for the city of Mumbai, and then you can just append it to this bbc.com/weather/ that location ID. But that's not important. So let's get started. So this piece of code is what does this cool stuff for me. Just pass the city of Mumbai, the name of whatever city you're interested in, and it gets you back the URL for that city. So let's get started by importing the libraries. Why is it taking time? Okay, yeah, we've done that, okay. Now, to get the URL, I have the URL here, and then I use the get functionality of from the request library to go fetch the HTML contents of this page and then store it in the response object. After that, we're going to initiate an instance of beautifulsoup, and we're going to tell beautifulsoup that, hey, look, I need an HTML parser to pass through the contents of this particular web page that we have stored here. Okay, we do that, and we've done. We've initiated, we've got the HTML code, and all that we have to do is go through this HTML code and figure out where our information of interest resides, and then extract that and put it into whatever format you want. So for that, we need to know, or we need to tell Beautiful Soup where all this information resides in. So I'm on my Chrome browser. So as I said, if you're interested in the daily high values, daily low values in the summary, so to know where in the HTML code these information resides, all I have to do is right click on this 32 guy here, which is 32 degrees Celsius, the high temperature for today, and click on inspect, which will show you the HTML code here, and we can figure out that this information is stored in the block with a name wr-day temperature _ high, right? So similarly, if we go to the low temperature, it would be wr _day temperature _ low. Okay, that's where your information resides, which is like 25 degrees Celsius. Okay. So what we have to do is there's the find all functionality in Beautiful Soup, which basically does, you can pass this name here, and what it does is it'll go and figure out all the places with a span block, and where the span block has a name wr this temperature high value, and then it will return all the information for you. Let's look at what that looks like. So it returns a lot of junk along with some information that we're interested in for the next 14 days as a list of 14 elements. This is a list of 14 elements. It has the daily high temperature values in degrees Celsius and the daily low high temperature values in degree Fahrenheit, along with a lot of junk. Similarly, we do that for the low temperature, and we get back a list of 14 elements along with a lot of junk and the information that we're interested in. And the daily summary, if we look at how it is returned, unfortunately it's not a list of 14 elements, it's one big string, right? Just one big string. So we'll have to do some post-processing here before putting it into a pre-processing here before putting it into a CSV format. We'll come to that in a while. So like I said, in both this high values and low values, it returned along with the information a lot of junk. So how do we extract the information alone? So if you remember, it was a list of elements. So if I have to access the first element of a list, I'm only interested in the text part of it. I strip off all the other information. I get this. Similarly, for the 6th day, I get this. Okay, I'm not interested in the degree Fahrenheit. I'm only interested in degree Celsius. So I split it and then take the first element. Putting this all together in a list iterator, I get again a list of 14 elements, but now with no junk, no degree Fahrenheit, just degree Celsius, right? Similarly, I do this for the daily low values, and I'm here. Now, if you remember, the daily summary was not a list of 14 elements, it was just a big string. But luckily for us, the summary for each day began with a uppercase letter, like so sunny intervals and a gentle breeze, sunny intervals and a gentle breeze. Oh, it's also light cloud and a gentle breeze. So the first letter of the first word in every summary started off with a uppercase letter. So with that knowledge, we're going to exploit that to use regular expression to split this large string or this long string into 14 different strings and put them into a list, and the splitting is going to be done on the uppercase letter, and that is what this regular expression does for us. So I do that, and I get a list of 14 strings. Now all I have to do is put this summary, high temperature and low temperature, into a nice pandas data frame. But as I said, we've got this information for the next 14 days. So if somebody has to use this later, they should probably know which date each row belongs to. So I'm just creating a date column using the pandas date range function and stripping off all the junk here and using only the date. Zipping everything together, the date list, high value, low value, and the summary. Putting it into a nice data frame with the column names. And this is what I get. So if you notice, there are there's this degree symbol here, which might be a hindrance for math operations later on. So I'm just replacing that with nothing and then converting it into a float column. Now it's clean. And again, I am going to save it into a CSV or an XLX. I'll do both here. And it's a good idea to save the file with the location name, which is Mumbai here. Again, we get the location ID from this Mumbai guy here, so it's stored here. But it's kind of a dump here because I mean, with the beginning we've passed Mumbai, so I can just use the required city as well. Anyway, so we do that, and it's saved as CSV and an XLS file in my system. Okay, so that is the end of this tutorial. Two key takeaways. One is for scraping, you need the request library, which actually fetches the information, the HTML code from any web server. And two, the beautiful soup library, which actually helps you parse through this HTML code and then gather all the information for you. Until we see again with another tutorial, take care. Bye.